that's the crazy thing, because it's like you can't imagine that there's a high rate of orthopedic injuries in newborns.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, when they're
in the NICU.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
when you're talking about, like, okay, babies, you know, are released from the hospital, they go home, and then they suffer injuries. Then pattern-wise, you would look to the parents for
Correct.
potentially abuse or neglect. But when you're getting hurt before you leave the hospital,
Right.
it's like the injury rate on that has to be infinitesimal. Now, if you have multiple injuries in the same hospital over a relatively limited time span, and then you can correlate that to, oh, that's the attending nurse. Like, dude, it's almost disappointing they didn't discover it faster.
So there was another twist to that. So she'd been doing that to all the black babies, and then so she did injure a little white baby as well as a girl, because most of them were black male babies that she was
Injuring.
just injuring. So, but I was like, she's wicked, she's evil.
Yeah.
The article with the woman, the nurse that was beating up the black babies in the NICU. Did you see that one?
Breaking their bones.
She was breaking their bones.
Yeah, this woman deserves to be in hell.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah?
She was a nurse at a hospital in Minnesota.
Like purposely, or
Yes.
just like, or in her mind, she's like spanking them, and
No, these
because
were
they're
babies
bad.
in the NICU, so they're already fragile, and she would go in and break their legs, break their arms.
This
stuff
is
like that.
this is heinous.
So, for years she was working, and they finally they fired her, and then they realized that she had been doing this for at least 2 years. So it was about 7 babies that had been injured, and
by this woman.
None of them died, but they were just injured, and they may have permanent.
Yeah, see, in cases like that, I wouldn't like arrest her. I would allow all the parents of those kids and those babies and all of them at one time, and just have a go at her.
Yeah.
Men too, the husband, the boyfriends, the baby daddies, whatever.
Hitting women's okay today, boys.
This is your time to shine. If this is
we know you've been holding back.
Oh, hold on, your boyfriend's in jail for actually violence, abuse. Let's let him out for the day because he has something to do.
Nah, for sure,
that's what I would
for
do.
sure. That's absolutely his. I remember I saw that the other day, and I
haven't seen that. No.
Oh, but it just makes you sick.
I mean,
it just makes you angry to just read that this is happened. Ridiculous.
So they fired her, but they eventually picked her up and arrested her.
Yeah, they just recently because some of the parents.
I wonder how did he caught up with that. I wonder.
Because the parents.
It started with the complaints.
They would. There was this one particular story where the parents, they went to visit the baby, and they realized that he was in distress, and they did some X-rays, and they saw that his leg was broken, and at that point the hospital was like, hey, do you still want to hold him? And they're like, no, we need he needs to be treated and whatever. And then they started doing an investigation, and they found out that she was the common denominator with all of these injured kids.
That's the crazy thing, because it's like you can't imagine that there's a high rate of orthopedic injuries in newborns.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they're
in the NICU.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're talking about, like, okay, babies, are released from the hospital, they go home, and then they suffer injuries. Then pattern-wise, you would look to the parents for potentially abuse or neglect. But when you're getting hurt before you leave the hospital, it's like the injury rate on that has to be infinitesimal. Now, if you have multiple injuries in the same hospital over a relatively limited time span, and then you can correlate that to, oh, that's the attending nurse. Like, dude, it's almost disappointing they didn't discover it faster.
So there was another twist to that. So she'd been doing that to all the black babies, and then so she did injure a little white baby as well as a girl, because most of them were black male babies that she was
injuring.
Just injuring. So, but I was like, she's wicked, she's evil.
Yeah.
Now you're like, let me just throw them off, and I'll just injure this little.
Nah, that lady should be beaten to death with a hammer.
So yeah.
And just, what do you got? 106 bones in the body. Let's try and break them all.
Yeah. What is she saying? Like, this kid is not going to the NBA on my watch.
Jesus Christ. Bubba's got his priorities in order. He's worried about the league.
It's a little dark comedy there.
Ratings won't be revived on my watch.
Part of the fun, right?
I know Pink would appreciate
Jordan, quickly.
I'm just reading the article. Yeah, because this is my first time. I wanted to see if she made a statement or something, but no statement.
No,
She hasn't entered a plea yet either, of guilty or not guilty. She hasn't done that yet.
I don't know if she's in jail.
She is.
Okay.
Yeah. They're saying that this, she's supposed to have done that already, but she hasn't.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
Trump hasn't decided to collect some money on her behalf.
Yeah, wouldn't put it past.
But she's
that's
allegedly
like
a white supremacist too. That part. Of the story,
well, I mean, how are you not?
Well,
I mean, seriously, how are you not?
I don't know.
If you're breaking the bones of black babies,
I want to hear
like you are pretty much the definition of a.
I want to not her story, but I do want to I just want to hear her say something.
Nah, I don't. I just want to see her dead.
You are the type I want to hear the serial killer and all that. I want to just I just want to know.
Why she would.
I just want to know.
Did you watch Mindhunters on Netflix?
No, I definitely heard of it.
You should.
That's a big show.
Yeah,
it's like a series, right?
It's a 2-season series. Basically, it was the early FBI profiling. And what they did was exactly what you want to do. They got approval to meet with serial killers in jail and basically collect their stories. Because there was a prevailing notion that when you have these horrific criminals that, lock them in the jail, throw away the key and whatever. But they were like, hey, we need to understand these people because it'll help us identify the next one.
Yeah.
And so it was like a shift in the mindset of the FBI, and they got into tons of interviews and kind of getting the thoughts and why these people are doing this stuff that they're doing.
So is that how profiling?
That's profiling. Yeah.
Okay,
It was I believe back in the 60s. They were also involved. Remember the Atlanta guy that was killing children?
Wayne Williams.
That guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were involved in finding him. But I like that profiling stuff. I think it's very useful. But my gut feeling is to just kill this person and never hear from him again. But I mean, actually, intellectually, there might be something there that you can glean from her, as far as basically in her telling her story, she's giving you clues into what her mentality was, what behavior she did, so that you could theoretically maybe find somebody else who's trying a similar activity.
Right, maybe you can use
faster.
that to identify nurses that maybe
nurses that are in that space and would be
yeah.
predisposed to that sort of behavior.
Yeah. No, for sure. Quick stories here before we get to the NBA. Okay. These are a couple of things that happened here. You got a Florida woman, who tried to buy drugs, fentanyl.
Where's the woman?
On the left. And she was arrested after accidentally texting the sheriff's department instead of her drug dealer.
I love that.
What do you think about that?
The first thing I thought of was back when I was a kid, we used to call Asian restaurants and do prank calls. And the way this was old school. So you would have one guy at the phone book reading off a number. And so one time, the guy reading off the number read off the Danbury Police Department number. So the phone gets picked up, and our guy's with his horrible Chinese accent, and it's police department, and he just shit himself.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, no, I think that's funny.
Pre-caller ID days, right?
But they say criminals are dumb.
Yeah.
She fits.